Hey everyone, Rabid Hedgehog here, and we want to thank our sponsors before the start of this video. Shout out to Law Tigers out there riding with us right now, but standing with us in the event of an accident. Need custom racing leathers or gear for the everyday ride? AGVSportUSA is here for that, and based out of Argyle, Texas, and serving riders nationwide. Also, we want to thank Doug Crawford, an independent AMSOIL dealer, for providing us with the fluids that keep our machines running well on into the future. Visit the description below for web links and contact details to get in touch with them today.
Alright everybody, this is now on the 2021 Royal Enfield Himalayan 400 cc's of adventure power. Nice upright machine. Way lighter than I was expecting it to be. Don't know what I was expecting it to be, like heavy, but I'm actually shocked it's pretty light. Alright, so looking around the ergos over here, very similar to the other Enfields I have rode so far. We have our engine cutoff switch on the right hand side with our hazards and our starter button. We also have on this side of the enricher, we have our flash to pass and everything like that up here. Brights, off, turn signal, horn, and like I said, flash to pass is right there, as you can see. Now up here we have a fuel gauge, nice little compass, tachometer, gear indication, clock, trip monitors. Of course, I can select it by hitting the mode button and stuff on the dashboard there. That's kind of hidden maybe potentially to you guys, so I'll point it out here when we're not doing things right now. Alright, so there's your mode button, selections, and also your ABS kill button right there. Hallelujah, that's what you need when you're off-road, is get rid of that ABS. What a pest when you're trying to fling the rear end around. Go for a slide. Now, I have to say, kind of riding around a couple of blocks here, I'm actually kind of shocked at how narrow the handlebars are on this. Like, I was expecting it to be a little bit wider, but it definitely is not. The position is very natural for an adventure bike or dual purpose. Feet are slightly back from the knee. That way, whenever you stand straight up, you stand literally straight up on the seat, as you can see. So that's got it going for it. The knees come up. Now my knees are a little long for this tank. Once again, Rabid Hedgehog, 6 foot tall, 32-inch inseam, size 14 feet, 210 pounds. But you can see my knees actually come up to the crease of the tank. So that's kind of right there, kind of bothering the inside of my knees there. But not a bad deal. I mean, you've got plenty of seat room to move around on to find a position, and I just found one that works just fine now. There we go. So there's plenty of seat room to kind of find it. I mean, the way it locks you in, yeah, it definitely pushes your legs more forward. But if you back up to right where you're hitting the pillion seat for my size, it fits in right there. And it's not really hitting my tailbone or anything, so we're still comfortable. Gotta say, it's got a nice soft suspension on it as we go over some of these more broken little bumps here. Doesn't feel like it's bottoming out or anything like that. It's just a pretty soft suspension for climbing and doing things off-road. Let's do some downshifts here. Nice crisp downshifting. Engine feels like it wants to be a tractor, which I don't have any problems with. Now I do have a tachometer, so I can tell you that your red line is around 6,500 RPM. Spins up real nicely. I'm in 4th gear right now. Got about 50 miles an hour there, and we'll get and be about where I need to shift again. But the engine is really compliant. We don't have any buzzing or anything to write home about on this one. It's I can feel a little bit through the handle grips, but I don't feel anything in the feet whatsoever on this machine here. Pegs are in a nice place. They're nice and big and covered in rubber, so they're taking a lot of those vibrations. I can feel a little bit on the downshift, but then it kind of just settles down and goes away. All right. Like I said, I really like the little compass right there. Of course, you do have your turn signals left and right, neutral, service engine light, battery, brights, and ABS warning, which is probably because you can turn it off. And I'm pretty sure if I pop that, boop, nope, not right now. Probably not doing it right. I need the owner's manual. Oh, also have your temperature out there too. So regular odometer, trip odometers, and temperature. Like I said though, there is an ABS button on this, but I don't know how to use it yet. But I'm not going off-road, sadly. This is a street-only review on this. And I have to say, it rides rather nicely. I'm still in fourth gear. I'm noticing fourth gear seems to be where it likes to live at. I'm doing about 5,500 RPM, doing 60 miles an hour in fourth. We'll go ahead and hop her up here. Alright, so now we're doing 60 miles an hour in fifth gear, maximum gear, and that's about 4,500 when at acceleration. But I will say, one thing I've noted on this is how short the seat height is for a dual purpose. Like when I hopped up on it, I wasn't expecting my legs to be on the ground so quickly. So it kind of threw me off, like, oh, this is supposed to be tall, and it's not. Not a bad deal or anything like that. I mean, it does come with the skid plates and the crash bars and some other things like this that you see here. But it's a little shorter than I was expecting. Honestly, I expect these to be taller for some reason. This is what we get for not having Royal Enfield around our area. I have to say, it's a fairly quiet machine. There's not much coming out of the exhaust in terms of noise. Riding around pretty nicely, holding the RPM at 4,500 at 60 miles an hour in fifth gear just fine. Like I said, fourth gear seems to be its preferred power band up until you're really needing to cruise. So it's almost like this wants to be a overdrive in a sense. Now, this motorcycle does have a very nice lean to it. Everything feels good. Whenever you press the bars, the motorcycle's nice and responsive. This little 400 has plenty of grunt in it. Like I said, keep it in fourth gear and it seems like it wants to tractor everywhere it can. This is kind of this preferred power band it's got, and I don't mind it at all. Go ahead and downshift again. Compression braking is really good. Really nice feel for what it's doing. Like I said, this thing will tractor. Friction zone is right at 3 once again, which is a great place for it. I like when it's right there. Man, like I said, look how I still have a big old bend in my knee there. Like I'm not expecting my foot to find ground so quickly, and then it's like, I am here, and it's like, yeah, you are. But yeah, this thing is like really nicely set up for a little 400. I mean, as stated, it's sometimes all you honestly need. You don't need all the horsepower in the world or anything like that. You just need a motorcycle that can simply ride in any condition. And this one is comfortable to be around town on, despite the softer suspension and some of these road divots making it a little upset. That's mostly because it's a very narrow profile motorcycle, but it's still pretty nicely balanced. I think it would do a little bit better where it's designed for, in the dirt, some mud and some other things. It might have a little bit more fun there, but it still rides really well for the city as well. The position is so comfortable. It's just a natural riding position. I am slightly lean more forward. Like I said, I had to move from the seat. If I go back to sitting straight up like I was, then my knees are against the tank, so I back up just a little bit so my back is just a little forward. Not a big deal. Elbows come slightly out from the side of the body and then go up to the grip, but it's a comfortable fall, nice and natural. Still just keeping it in fourth gear. Like I said, this thing seems that fourth gear is just where it wants to be at. Anything over 35, it's like I will stay here until I die. Still has good roll-on action as well, so good power, good delivery. Downshifting mostly because the vehicles ahead are going slower. That not going to have a little bit more roll-on action, but we're not able to get that. One thing about group rides, you kind of have to ride to the tune of somebody else, not yourself. Hedgehog can have a lot of fun, that's for sure. Now this thing is just a fun little ride, man, and I'm surprised how smooth it is. It's not as agricultural as some of those other single CC'd adventure bikes. And I'm speaking of like the XR and the KLR and some of those, and the DR650. Those feel unrefined in the presence of this. Of course, I haven't rode the new KLR. I'm talking about the one I used to have. Motorcycle that definitely didn't have everything it took to make it fun. Do a little quick turnaround action here. So this transmission, it's a tractor, man. You don't really have to lock yourself in the friction zone to get a good turnaround either. You can just kind of whip it. Touch my foot down on that turn. Yeah, you don't need to do too much on it because it tractors really, really well. If you just put your hand on the throttle ever so slightly, you can get it to crawl. So it's almost like having a granny low in a car. Put it in first gear and just crawl her around and she'll do it. No complaints here on that. Maybe we get to do a little bit more turning here. Get that good power out. Shifts without a clutch just fine too. You can time it really well. This is the second Royal Enfield I've rode today The second modern one, not the classic that I not used to ride. I didn't own one, but I had a friend with one, and that little booger had its issues. Let's put it that way. And it wasn't as refined as this. This one really gets up and goes, and it feels way more refined, and you can honestly tell everything it wants to do. It's communicating. It's not dull, it's really sharp. It's not a big motorcycle, it's just a groovy little motorbike, and that's what we need sometimes. Everybody going after these big displacement V-twin things that not necessarily needed, when these things are running around for, you know, quite a bit cheaper. You're looking around 5 or less on a Himalayan. It comes with everything you need. We'll put the description down, or we'll put the specifications down in the description below. But it really does communicate really well to the rider what it wants to do. I mean, I think of all the motorcycles that we get these days, where we have all these machines that are technologically enhanced, you know, you have IMUs and lean sensitive ABS and all this garbage that sometimes takes away what the rider can do, because sometimes it's okay to have skill. Sometimes it's okay to let us ride the way we can ride. And I really like that about the couple of infields I've rode today, that they really feel like they are about that. They are about the ride. They are about how to make things happen. I mean, some people are making it look a little rough, but in reality it shouldn't be. It's really well planted. The fueling is really good on it. I don't have any complaints about it whatsoever. We're once again back to cable actuated, no fancy electronic. Gizzardry on it. Alright, we're just going to see how far we can get it before we need to put a foot down. Like I said, it's really good on the friction zone. Alright, really nicely balanced machine. Like I said, I can even feel the engine exactly when the shift point wants to be, and I wasn't even clutching there at all. It's like having a quick shifter when you can feel the machine telling you what it wants to do. Everybody, I need a quick shifter. You just know how to blip it, man. When this thing communicates with you that well at a mechanical level, and it talks to your soul that well as a rider, you have something special. It may be a simple machine. It may be not the most exciting looking. It may not be fast, you know, or pretty, or whatever, but it works really well. Now, I will note some heat on this one. So as I'm riding, I've noticed the seat has gained a little bit of heat. So there's definitely some heat getting back into the back over here, causing a little bit of feel to it. Doing just fine. I mean, it holds speed just fine. I mean, you're gonna probably see a little less than 80, to be honest. It's not a barnstormer, so you're not gonna see incredible speeds out of it. It definitely, getting up to 70 there, was getting pretty close to red line. But it will hold it. I mean, it's still going to climb the hill and hold it. And do just fine there. It's in enough of a power band that you don't really have a speed drop off or anything like that, so it's really well powered if you're going to take it on the road. But really, in reality, that's not what this is for. This deserves to be in the dirt and some, you know, unimproved areas. You know, kind of like where I'm from, where I've got a couple of miles of regular pavement and I can run into dirt in 5 minutes or less any direction I go to. Like, I know where all the dirt is and I can go play in the dirt. I got a lake around me that has some spots, and this will just be perfect to tractor its way up there and go through those kind of roads, go up through those lake trails that's up there, and it will do it without any complaint because it's really well balanced, it's really well done. Now, like I said, it's pretty decent even if you're a shorter rider, because I keep hitting the ground so quick, I feel like I'm smashing the ground or smashing my foot into the ground really hard every time I do it. So it really is a short motorcycle. That's what kills me, is how short it really is, considering what it's supposed to be, considering it has skid plates, considering what it does. So I get a kick out of that, like for real. Coming up here, boop. But yeah, it's just amazing how fast the foot comes down, hits the ground, and ends it. So regarding the Himalayan, kind of doing some final thoughts in my mind here as we're sitting here. It's a fantastic riding machine. It's not the fastest, it's not the prettiest. It definitely, you know, doesn't have the amazing horsepower as bigger bore motorcycles. And the suspension's a little soft for some heavier duty road work. If you hit some of the bigger stuff, you might bottom out on it. But it doesn't really upset the chassis whatsoever. It does a really good job of holding its own on the road. Even on the thinner profile tires and everything like that, rain gullies really didn't upset it that bad. Every once in a while I'd feel something, grab it and move it a little bit, but nothing a good bar press can't handle. That's what it's supposed to be, right? Just good old bar presses and making it happen. Like I said, the braking on this, standard braking, compression braking, everything is very communicative, where you can modulate very easily everything you've got to do. It does turn really well. I mean, everything is really tight on it. Fit and finish looks pretty good. I mean, there's a little bit more, you know, spit and clean that it could have, but it's been traveling, you know, so that's why the handlebars are a little banged up there. It's in the back of a truck being pulled in and out and all this other stuff, so it has to have, you know, a little bit of damage here and there, right? But that's what this bike is for, hitting those bigger bumps, man. I can tell you, yeah, I would like a little bit tighter suspension, not as floppy. But like I said, that's more so you can climb around on rocks and go off-road and do stuff so it can move out of its own way. But on the road, it's just a little soft for it. But man, it rides really well, does a good job. Transmission shifts nicely. Clutch is nice and light. When you're off-roading, use that for your friction zone, feathering, making it all happen. So it does a really good job. And I could see this being a fantastic off-road machine. One that can do some really good, gnarly things and tractor its way through pretty happily. So at any rate, once again, this is the Rabid Hedgehog 2021 Royal Enfield Himalayan. If you have any questions about it, put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer the questions. At any rate, keep that shiny side up, folks, and we'll catch you on the next ride.